What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Huddle presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Huge thank you to our sponsors, Danklyfe brand, Shank It Golf brand, and Let's Talk Sports. Now, we're going to be continuing our fantasy football marathon that we're going to be doing over the next 2 to 3 weeks while you get prepared for your fantasy football draft. I know it's coming. It's right around the corner. It might even be this weekend. And you don't want to look like an idiot when it comes to your fantasy football draft. Whether you were paying attention through the offseason or whether you turned your fantasy football notifications off, your ESPN, your Bleacher Report, you turned that all off and you just started watching movies with your girlfriend. You started binging TV shows. You got caught up on the Stranger Things and the Umbrella Academy, all the good things that come with the offseason, but you forgot that fantasy football season is coming and you just don't want to look like an idiot. Here on the Fantasy Football Huddle, we're going to help you get twice as good as the person next to you. So we can take that 10%, that 8.3% chance that you statistically have to win your fantasy football league, and we can double it. And we have a much better chance to hoist that trophy and make those other idiots in our fantasy football league pay for all the smack talk they've been saying all year, for the last 10 years, however long it's been. We're going to end that all this year, or we're going to continue our reign. Either way, the championship is yours. Let's get through all the intro stuff. If you like the content, please make sure you smash the like button. You don't understand how much it really helps me out just smashing the like button for me. And if you haven't yet, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell by doing yourself a favor so you know when we're talking about what you want to hear about. Once we hit 100 subscribers here on the new platform for the Huddle Chat Sports Network, we're going to be giving away all kind of Huddle Chat Sports gear, all kind of customized apparel, all thanks to our sponsor at Danklyfe brand. But that's going to do it for the intros. Now's the time, if you do, to smoke them if you got them. Fill up your cup, roll something up, and let's get into the fantasy news, baby. Now today in our draft strategy coverage, we're going to be talking about what is typically my wheelhouse, my favorite thing to do in fantasy football drafts. We're going to discuss later whether this is still my fantasy football draft favorite, my fantasy football go-to draft strategy at the end of the video. But today we're talking about the robust running back draft strategy. What the hell is the robust running back draft strategy? Because you already know what the zero RB strategy is and the hero RB strategy is because you've seen the videos that we already put out. And if you haven't, I'll drop the links in the description. You don't have to stop this one right now, but check those ones out next. Put them in your queue, whatever you got to do. But typically, like I said, this is my preferred way to draft. What you're going to be doing with the robust running back strategy is it may be the most efficient draft strategy to go with because everyone seems to be going with no running back and low running back strategies in your fantasy football draft. And instead of continuing to ride the wave, and maybe you don't know how to do the hero running back or the zero running back strategy and you're not comfortable executing it yet because this is your big home league. This is the home league that is the most shit talked of, the closest friends, the family. This is the important league we're talking about, and I cannot let them just dictate how I'm going to draft this off season. I'm going to take control back with this robust running back strategy, and you can take your control back with this robust running back strategy and put the draft back in your hands and build an absolute monster with this strategy. What it's going to be is you're going to take a heavy amount of your draft capital in that first 5 rounds. As we've discussed, The main thing you're going to focus on in your draft strategy preparation is going to be your 5-round plan of attack. And in this 5-round plan of attack that we call the robust running back strategy is we're going to take a heavy amount of our draft capital early in those first 5 rounds and invest heavily in the running back position. With the robust running back strategy, we don't just want any kind of running back. We are going to identify a few key things that we're looking for in the running backs that we want to target in our draft. Starting with our early running backs. With our early running backs, we want to draft workhorses, and we can identify a workhorse running back by looking at their potential volume projection. And you can identify a workhorse by seeing how heavily they are involved in the amount of snaps they get on their offense, their snap share. The second thing we want to look at is, are they in either a running heavy scheme like Derrick Henry, or are they in a scheme and heavily involved in a passing scheme on this offense, like Christian McCaffrey's going to be? Like we've seen a lot more fantasy football success from running backs from that type of running back. But either way, you're looking at 2 workhorse running backs that should probably be in your top 5 running back rankings right now. Also, another key factor is going to be the competition they have for targets. Derrick Henry has virtually nobody behind him for targets. Christian McCaffrey will split some time with Elijah Mitchell, and really Elijah Mitchell I don't think is going to do much to lower Christian McCaffrey's value, but we're not here to discuss the apples and oranges of the running back rankings. We're going to talk about that in later videos, and you can look at my early running back rankings. That'll be in the link in the description as well. So that's what we're going to be looking for in our early round running backs. Now, when we're talking about running backs we're going to take later, because we're going robust running backs. We're going 3-to-1, at least 2-to-1 on our running back to wide receiver ratio. We're stacking up those running backs and waiting for those league mates to come crawling to us because we have the only running back options left in the entire league. When we're looking at our later options, we want to identify running backs who will take on big roles if an injury occurs, otherwise known as the handcuff options. A couple of good handcuff options you should already have on your draft board, especially if you're considering the robust running back option, are people like A.J. Dillon, who, if Aaron Jones goes down, is going to take an insane role in that Packers offense. Elijah Mitchell, who we've already discussed with Christian McCaffrey. If God forbid, if something happens to Christian McCaffrey, then Elijah Mitchell is going to take a huge role in one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL. Samaje Perine for the Denver Broncos, looking at what may be potentially happening with Javonte Williams. We all saw J.K. Dobbins last year and how those backup running backs really needed to step up, especially early. Samaje Perine could potentially be a very valuable pick. We're going to identify running backs like that who have extreme upside, because as we've discussed in previous episode, upside matters late. We're done wasting all of our late round draft picks on low upside players. Now, one thing that we're going to talk about with the robust running back strategy is how we're going to identify the wide receivers that we're getting, because what you're doing is missing out on all of those valuable top 15 wide receivers in your league by going robust running back in those first 5 rounds. And throughout the remainder of the draft, you're going to want to identify wide receivers who are in very efficient offenses, the T. Higgins of the world, those offenses that continuously pass at a high rate and hit those wide receivers with a ton of volume. Going into the next thing we're looking at with our wide receivers is projected target share. It does no good to look at somebody who may be a decent wide receiver that has a low projected target share, like the Zay Jones or the Michael Gallups of the world. When you're looking at the wide receivers you want to add when going through your robust running back strategy, you're going to look at those T. Higgins, as I've mentioned before. You're going to look at those Treylon Burks, those Christian Kirks. You're going to look for those valuable wide receivers that are in efficient offenses that have a high projected target share. And that's how you're going to stay safe at your wide receiver position while you go crazy at your running back and make your league mates pay for trying to get cute this season. Typically, with the robust running back position, unlike hero RB and zero RB, you're really going to have to wait on your elite quarterbacks and elite tight ends. You're going to miss out on the Travis Kelce's, the Mark Andrews. You're going to miss out on the Jalen Hurts and the Josh Allen and the Patrick Mahomes. And you're going to probably start looking at quarterback before you start looking at tight end, just because you have a little bit more wiggle room in the tight end aspect when it comes to those later round tight ends versus the later round quarterbacks. You can go tight end earlier than quarterbacks. You're not going to go wrong, but you have to identify those guys that you're really looking for in the quarterback position. But personally, I think the safest way to enact this is to put tight end on your lowest priority. Go with that quarterback around the 6th, 7th, 8th round, and start snagging your tight end around the 7 through 9 area. Then, of course, continue to stack them wide receivers, continue to stack those running backs, and find that upside when it matters the most later on in the draft. Personally, the robust running back, you can, like I said before, build an absolute monster with the robust running back strategy. But the problem with the robust running back strategy is more than half of the word is bust. More than half of the word robust is bust. And this is an extreme boom or bust strategy. You can build an absolute powerhouse if you do this strategy right. Unfortunately, the way that the NFL is trending currently, the way that fantasy research is trending currently, fantasy scoring is trending currently, NFL scoring is trending currently, it's a big risk to do the robust running back strategy. You can absolutely win your league with the robust running back strategy, but my suggestion is to not go with the robust running back strategy, or at least go with an altered approach to the robust running back strategy. Maybe you go more running backs than the hero RB or the zero RB, but personally, I think with the risk versus reward that you're getting historically, especially over the last 2 years, it's just not worth it right now to go with the robust running back strategy. Like I said, you can win it. And another reason you would go with this strategy is because everybody is going such wide receiver heavy. So you may be forced to go with a strategy like this. But do your research, do some mock drafts, and figure out how you need to do this draft correctly. We're going to go probably and do a little deeper dive on a couple mock drafts and a couple things and a couple of ways to get better at enacting these strategies. But we're definitely going to be talking about sleepers, breakouts, players to avoid, players you should be too smart to draft. We're coming out with a slew of fantasy football tips, tricks, and knowledge for the next 2-3 weeks as we get into our stardoms and situms and everybody's favorite time of the year. But I have to thank you so much for tuning into this installment of the Fantasy Football Huddle presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Thank y'all so much to our sponsors. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode. If you made it this far and you haven't checked yet, check down at the bottom. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you've already hit that thumbs up because you know how much it helps me out. And I'll see you next time on the Fantasy Football Huddle here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Keep your chin up and your attitude down. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.